diving into one of the most incredible succession stories you'll ever hear. We're talking fiery judgment, a loyal apprentice, and a mentor who makes his exit in a literal chariot of fire. So where are we getting all this from? Well, we're jumping right into the book of 2 Kings, specifically the first 2 chapters. And trust me, these chapters mark a huge turning point for the prophets of ancient Israel. I mean, think about it. A prophet being whisked away to heaven in a whirlwind? A request for a double portion of power? This story has absolutely everything. A defiant king, fire from heaven, a river split in 2. So what is this all about? Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll set the stage with the world of kings. Then we'll get into the action with Elijah's fiery judgment. After that, the main event, a chariot of fire. We'll then see the fallout in the successor's power. And finally, we'll tie it all together with why this story matters. Okay, first things first. To really get what's happening, we need to zoom out and understand the world these people were living in. This isn't just a bunch of random stories. It's a history with some very, very clear rules. You see, the Book of Kings basically has this grading system for every ruler, and it's pretty simple. On one side, you have King David. He's the gold standard, the model for what a good, righteous king should be. And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got King Jeroboam, who introduced golden calf worship and basically set the northern kingdom on a path of idolatry for generations. He's the benchmark for an evil king. And, spoiler alert, most of the kings we meet are a lot more like Jeroboam than David. And that whole setup, it brings us right into our first story, which features one of those not-so-great kings in a direct showdown with God's prophet, Elijah. So picture this. King Ahaziah of Israel has a nasty fall and gets badly hurt. But instead of turning to the God of Israel, he sends messengers to get advice from a Philistine god called Baal-zebub. This is a huge insult to God. It's basically saying, hey, is there even a God in Israel worth asking? Well, Elijah is sent to intercept those messengers and deliver a message of his own. Ahaziah is not getting off that bed. Now, the king is furious. He does not take this news well. So he sends a captain with 50 soldiers to go arrest Elijah. Bad move. Elijah calls down fire from heaven, and poof, they're gone. The king, not getting the hint, sends another captain with 50 more men. Same exact result. All told, 102 men are consumed by fire for trying to challenge God's prophet. Okay, let's just pause for a second here, because you might be thinking, wow, that seems incredibly harsh. Weren't these guys just soldiers following orders from their king? It's a fair question, and it's one that comes up a lot with this story. Well, the way the story tells it, the key detail is this. The soldiers knew exactly who they were dealing with. They call him a man of God. This means it wasn't just blind obedience. They were faced with a very clear choice: obey their evil king or respect the known prophet of the living God. They chose the king, and in doing so, they weren't just challenging Elijah, they were challenging God himself. So all of that intense drama is really just the opening act for the main event of these chapters, the end of Elijah's time on earth and the incredible moment he passes his spiritual authority to his successor, Elisha. As God prepares to take Elijah away, we get this fascinating test of loyalty. 3 separate times, Elijah tells his apprentice, Elisha, hey, you can stay here. But each time, Elisha flat out refuses, swearing an oath that he will not leave his master's side. His loyalty is rock solid. And this whole journey climaxes with a miracle. Elijah takes his cloak, smacks the Jordan River with it, and the waters part. They just walk across on dry ground. Right after they cross, Elijah turns to Elisha and asks what he can do for him before he's taken. Elisha's answer is one of the most famous lines in the entire story. He says, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." Now, this line gets misunderstood all the time. Elisha isn't asking for twice the superpowers, like he wants to be Elijah 2.0. In that culture, a double portion was a legal term. It was the share of the inheritance that went to the firstborn son. So what Elisha is really asking for is to be recognized as Elijah's true heir, the legitimate successor who will carry on the family business, so to speak. Elijah tells him, wow, you have asked a difficult thing. But he says, if you see me when I am taken from you, it'll be yours. And then it happens. Suddenly, a chariot of fire with horses of fire appears and comes between them, and Elijah is taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Just an absolutely stunning, supernatural exit. So the mantle is passed. The big question is, did it work? Does Elisha actually have that power now? Well, the story doesn't waste any time giving us the answer with three very different events. The very first test is immediate. Elisha picks up the cloak that fell from Elijah. He goes back to the Jordan, strikes the water, and cries out, "Where now is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" And just like that, the waters part for him too. The first sign is undeniable. The power has been transferred. Next, Elisha shows his power isn't just for big, dramatic displays. The people of Jericho tell him their water is bad. So he asks for a new bowl of salt, throws it in the spring, and in God's name, he declares the water pure. His power is also for life and for healing. But then, the narrative takes a really shocking turn. As Elisha is walking, a group of young men come out and start mocking him, shouting, "Go on up, you bald head, go on up." Elisha turns, curses them in the name of the Lord, and 2 bears come out of the woods and maul 42 of them. Okay, to make any sense of this, we have to look at what they were actually saying. Shouting "Go on up" was more than just a schoolyard taunt. They were directly mocking the story of Elijah's ascent to heaven. They were basically saying, "We don't believe your story. Your master's gone, and you're a fake." This was a full-blown public rebellion against God's new prophet, right at the beginning of his ministry. And so, this incredibly harsh judgment served as a terrifying warning and a way to cement Elisha's authority once and for all. So, we've seen fire, miracles, healings, and even bears. What's the point of all this? What's the big idea we're supposed to walk away with after this epic transfer of power? Well, this whole story is a powerful statement that God's work is continuous. He is in control, and he works through his chosen messengers to guide, to heal, and to judge. Prophets like Elijah might come and go, but the plan doesn't stop. God immediately raises up a successor to carry the torch. The passing of this mantle from Elijah to Elisha is the ultimate guarantee that God's purpose carries on, unbroken, from one generation into the next. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This idea of continuity, of passing the work from one person to the next, is the absolute heart of this story. So it makes you wonder, if God's work is truly unbroken, where and how do we see that same principle playing out in the world around us right now?